When Ford killed the Escort, replaced it with the Focus, Contour, and Mystique, I thought they were crazy. But now, they've come back with a brand new Fiesta. You know what it's like? It's like a Honda CRX if a Honda CRX was built today. Think of the build quality in the old CRX or the old Civic. Think of the way the thing used to go around corners, and you've got a pretty good picture of this Ford Fiesta. You know, now involved in the World Rally Championship, it's raised a lot of European kids' interest in the car. And for the gearheads in North America, having a Fiesta is kind of like being Tanner Faust or Ken Block. The whole idea behind building a car like this is to appeal to a market. And this market is definitely the youth.
Where I come from, the Ford Fiesta is somewhat of an institution. They've sold millions of the things in Europe, and just about everybody's got a Fiesta story, whether it's the first car they bought, the first car they learned to drive in, or the car they met their significant other, or even the car they brought home their firstborn. There's always a Fiesta in there somewhere. In North America, it's slightly different. When Ford originally launched the Fiesta back in 1976, they made a push to bring the car over here. However, despite being a fairly competent vehicle, it wasn't very successful, and 3 years later they pulled the plug.
The new Ford Fiesta is a budget-built car. It's light and lively. All the controls in here are really light to the touch. Takes a little bit of getting used to. I never generally get too excited about driving the lower-end segment cars, just because I do get a little bit spoiled on the show. However, I can report, within the first hour of driving this car, I actually fell in love with it. I really like it.
Now, as far as small cars go, especially in this market, the Fiesta is really quite fun. I mean, yes, it's built to a price. I mean, this one has rear drum brakes on it. It doesn't even have a lock and unlock feature for the doors. Yet, in terms of dynamics, the steering, the suspension, and even the gearbox, it's a nice car to drive.
There is a back seat, and it is actually usable at the expense of some comfort in the front seat. In other words, you're going to have to scoot forward and drive a little like your grandma, but you can actually get 4 adults into this car. Or you can fold the seats down and put a lot of stuff in there. The fact is, we all have too much stuff, don't we? But sometimes you've got to take an enormous load of groceries or a wedding cake somewhere, and it's got the utility for that as well. That's why I love hatches. Far from a hot hatch, this hatch is still fun to drive. I drove this car for 2.5 hours to get to this location, and a guy my size you'd think would feel cramped in here, but I'm not. You know, there is a guy holding this camera right here, and we're both about the same size, and we fit in here just fine. As far as instrumentation is concerned, it's clear, legible, exactly what it needs to be without being ostentatious, and I do like the center stack. It's simple, the HVAC is simple, the radio's kind of cool. This one comes with Sirius radio, which we've been listening to more or less full time since we came up here this week. It's a good little package.
You've got power windows, you've got the availability of the voice command sync system, you've got Bluetooth wireless, you've got MP3 connectivity. There's a lot of things going on in this car. And I have to say that in terms of quality, it really isn't that bad.
One thing that always drives me nuts in a budget ride is when they have a cheap plasticky steering wheel in them. Ford had the foresight to put in a nice leather-wrapped steering wheel with detents, so it doesn't matter if you're a 9-3 or a 10-2 driver, it's comfortable in all positions. That's what your hands are touching all the time, might as well spend the money there. They didn't really have it to throw it around in here. But just because it's a cheap ride, it doesn't feel cheap. The seats are nice and firm and supportive. It's got a very direct steering feel. It's a very light car, nice to toss around. It's a perfect car, say, as a second car to buy for your kids. There's no discernible way in this car to turn the traction control off. So if you give it to a teenager, there's no way they can really get themselves in trouble. They can't get over their head. As a first-time car, I think that's an absolute bonus.
If you're going to appeal to young customers, then you're going to have to come up with some fun colors. I don't know what Ford calls this color, but I'll tell you, I've been told several times by young ladies that they think it's cute. I'll have to call my sons up about those young ladies, but the fact is that it does, in every way, appeal to a youth market. Ford, you've done it again. You've hit it out of the park. This car is easily as quality-oriented as the Focus is. For a few less bucks, you get terrific gas mileage. What could be wrong with that? So let me ask you, do you need a car like this? Well, if you're a university student, yeah, you do. But nobody really needs a compact front-wheel drive car. But do you want a car like this? Holy Hannah, I'm happy to tell you that you do. You do want a car just like this.